So today I have a very exciting show for you guys. I think we are streaming what all the way between Virginia and Texas. Is that it?
Yes,
And boy,
ma'am.
am I so excited because I have the one and only Mrs. Chante Smith with us here today. So today we have a very important show for you guys. So please stay tuned. You do not want to miss this. Chante, will you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people?
Yes, thank you so much, Cindy. I appreciate it. My name is Chante Smith. I am a, they always ask this question, talk about yourself. I am a certified life and recovery coach. I'm also a certified Christian counselor coach. I'm also going to be facilitating a new course in the upcoming quarter on organizational leadership development. And I'm also currently a grief counselor. So I currently help people walk through the stage of grief. And I'm just beginning. I'm really, really excited about the opportunities I'm going to be able to help just be there for people who need to process grief.
Wow. So you actually you have quite a few what's the word that I want to use? Different businesses under your belt, if you will. And I am very, very excited, and I can't wait to dive in and talk more about each one of them individually. Um, so so tell us a little bit about your background, if you will.
Okay.
How did you decide to take on all of those individual roles that you're now being very, very well more than capable and qualified to do? How did you land those? Or how did you come to those ideas to do those?
Well, honestly, it was something I had already been doing in
Okay.
the corporate arena. So I've always coached people. I've always trained people. I've always been there if someone, if a coworker was, they lost their family member or there was a loss of any kind, I kind of always kind of encouraged them, stood by them, and kind of just held their hand and just gave them a hug if that's really all they needed. Even when it came to bad news that they may have gotten, sometimes a hug is enough. And so that's basically what I would do in the arenas that I would be able to minister to people through. And so one day I was like, let me go ahead and just I thought about getting certified, but I was like, I don't know if I need a certification because I've been doing it. But what I learned is me getting the certification just proves that I have the experience to back up my certification. So it gives me the credibility that I need along with all the stories, the experience that I have. And so I started tackling one certification at a time as God just continued to lead me into the direction that he's leading me to right now.
Wow, that is awesome. So that was pretty much so you pretty much kind of tapped into the grief certification, how you landed those roles. And so you said you have the grief certification, but you're licensed to coach in what
Yes.
other areas?
I'm a certified life and recovery, so grief falls underneath that. I also
Okay.
can help with family communications, relationships, anything that falls underneath life and recovering from life experiences. I can actually help walk people through. And I have my own experiences that I can share that gives me the credibility to be able to do that. With the organizational development, I have started a lot of ministries, been a part of a lot of startup departments within the corporate arena. I've done training. So all of that is like the basis and the foundation of everything that I do. And so now it's like, it's all coming together. And I'm like, okay, so what else do I need to get so I can make sure that everything functions the way that it's supposed to function? And not just for short term, but for longevity. Because I don't believe in building anything short term. If I'm going to do it, I'm trying to do it for the long haul.
Okay. Wow, that is so very, very awesome, Chante. So with all of that being said, so now do you counsel, let's say so I don't want to use the word counsel because are you a counselor but you're a coach?
I am a coach.
So can you give us the definition between the two so nobody misconstrues them?
Yes. So coach kind of, in a sense, gets you to think on a different level. So a coach's job is to pull out what's on the inside of you already.
Okay.
It's to help develop you so that you can see that you're just as awesome, that you can overcome any of your fears or anything like that, and that you can cross over into the next step. That's basically
Oh,
what a coach does. It kind of helps guide you and helps navigate you through life or whatever the situation is. A counselor actually counsels you. They deal with you on an emotional and more of a clinical side.
okay.
So I don't, and there's a fine line. So even in coaching, when we understand that if we recognize that it's going to take a little bit more professional help, then
Mm-hmm.
what I do is I actually outsource out to an actual counselor and I
Okay.
connect them with a counselor that can help them. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't have a coach and a counselor. Sometimes they need both.
Okay. That because that was going to be my next question. Because if we're 100% honest, we probably need the both. Because now that you've gotten the information from the counselor,
Mm-hmm.
the coach can help tie those things together because sometimes that's not easily done,
Correct.
tying the two together. Because sometimes, we sit and we get all of this information, but we don't know how to apply it. And you being the coach, you can definitely help them tie the two together. So
Yes.
that is super duper dope. I absolutely love it. And so you have the counseling the um in so the one that you apply for the corporate world. Tell me about that.
So that one I'm super excited about because it handles and deals with ministry and marketplace. So this is
Wow.
like
Okay.
my lane. But it in the course, it's gonna help. Number one, it's gonna help me because
Mm,
I get to teach and learn at the same time. So I'm super excited about that. So the student won't be the only student. I'll be
okay.
facilitating and learning at the same time. Of course, I have to review, the curriculum and then build my lesson plan and all of that before we actually take the course actually launches. But it really is going to deal with the foundation of a business, the foundation of what organization in itself looks like from a kingdom perspective. So it's not your regular organizational development. No, 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 no. We're going to be dealing with the systems of the kingdom and what that looks like in God's view, what does organization look like? And so you have to go to the beginning to really look at, okay, how was everything originally set up? And that's what we're putting in place. That's what we're going to be teaching. So that when you build your business and you build your ministry, you're building it on a solid ground to where it will last. You're on mute. You're on mute.
How did that happen?
I don't
Am
know.
I still on mute?
No, you're not on mute no more.
So what I basically did, and viewers, please forgive me, because I was trying to when I swiped over, I was trying to see if we could see each other side by side.
Yes.
And I guess that's when I went on
We are
mute.
side by side. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're not side by side on my end though. So
Okay.
but that's fine.
Yeah.
But so please forgive me. So
Yeah.
basically, when you said the key principle to the last words that you said was, so you're building your foundation so what you're building will last. And so a lot of times we're building, but we're not building things on a firm foundation that allows them to last. And so we end up sinking. So if you would tap a little bit more into what that looks like as it relates to building on a foundation that allows it to last.
Okay. One of the things that I'm learning now, even as an entrepreneur, is that systems are very important.
Mm-hmm.
Systems keep things in place. They're there for a reason and for a purpose. So, for instance, you have a system for your finance. How do you do your billing? If you look at a business, how do they do their payroll? How do they
Mm-hmm.
set up the system for payroll? What system do they use? What software do they use? Because all of that has a system built with inside of it so that it's easier for the end user to put in the information and it just automates itself. It does everything that it needs to do. Then you have your training. That's another system. What does your training and development look like? Is it broken down enough to where if someone off the street came and they read your manual, can they follow the instruction and get from point A to point B? Can they complete the task? And there's your granddaughter. It's okay.
I knew it.
It's all
I
right.
tried to give her something to keep her in there, and it didn't work.
Okay, that's okay.
Go back in there. I'll be done in a few minutes, okay? Thank you.
She's got.
Sorry, guys. I meant to give you guys a pre-warning that this would happen, but it's okay. Okay.
And then you have your roles. So within a role, there's a system. There's a list of things that role encompasses, different things that role does. That's a system. Like people don't, you don't look at it as a system, but truthfully, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
To get you to do a task, for this to work, and then you have your uplines, and then you have your downlines. Who do you report to? All of that is a system.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's one big system. That's a leadership system. And so within a business sense, you want to make sure that you have a mission statement.
Okay.
You need to know why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know your core values. Every business has a core value, at least one. I would say to have at least 3 to 5, because most of the time we operate in 3 to 5 of our core values, whether that be integrity, whether that be courage, confidence. Okay. There's a whole bunch of different things. And so that's something that you definitely want to make sure of. You want to make sure that you have, what's another thing I can think of? You want to make sure that you have processes. That's a system.
Okay.
How do you process certain things? So if you're a coach, what does your welcome packet look like? That's part of your system. How do you do your interviews? That's part of your system. And systems keep us in boundaries to where we know exactly where we're going, and they take us through the path that we need to go in order to make sure that everything is completed in decency and in order. Not in excellence, but in decency and in order, because there's a difference.
Okay. Yeah.
That kind of, and let me not say not excellence, because we still want to do things in excellence, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
That's it. Perfection.
It's okay. If it doesn't run all the way through, you laugh it through and you keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, that's good. I appreciate that. That's some really good informative information and just a tad bit of what you coach through.
Yes. Okay,
so let's say I wanted to come to you. So you offer, so the grief in the family
coaching, we can go hand in hand. Yeah.
They can go hand in hand. Yeah. Okay. So is it 3 different, can I say mentorships, or is it coaching?
Coaching.
Okay. So is it 3 different ones, or is it 2?
It's basically 2. So there's the life and recovery. So that's one certification. And then I have a certification, which just basically is targeted and niched into grief and loss coaching. And so what that does is it gives me the opportunity to pivot if I need to pivot. Mm-hmm. If the Lord says I need to deal with this right now, I can deal with this right now. And I have that certification underneath my belt, showing that, yes, I do have a certification in life and recovery, and grief is a part of recovery. You have to recover from that stuff.
Yes.
And then I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, because I have some homework I got to do, some more research, but really understanding the difference between the spirit of grief and the process of grief.
Yes.
They're 2 different things. Mm-hmm. So with life and recovery, and then me having my Christian counselor coach certification, I can actually do all of that. I can do all of that in one session.
Awesome. And I'm so glad that you just said what you said about grief, because that is something that I recently learned, where some of us just grieve and we go through grief, but then some of us actually take on the spirit of grief. Correct. And that's when you decide that everything you do, you live, move, and have your being within grief. Is basically what it is. Yep. And that's something that I just recently learned. So I'm so glad that you tapped into that a little bit. So I want to be able to, because the purpose of this interview basically is to put your business in the spotlight, if you will. So tell me, give me what it looks like for those 2 different people to come to you for a coaching session. Okay. Because I want to send somebody for the business to you. I want to send somebody who may be dealing with, grief or has some family issues or some issues within their own selves that they just need somebody to walk through the process with. So tell me what both of them looks like.
Okay. So from the business side, that would look like, okay, let's sit down and look at your business plan. Do you have a business plan?
Okay.
That's the first thing. And it would be more of a consultative before, of course, I actually pivot and see, do you need to hire me as your coach? Because I may not be your coach, but I have a whole bunch of other coaches that I can connect them with if they need a different type of coach. But for me, and
I'm glad that you said that, because some people would never ever do that. They'll try to coach you even if they know that they don't even have the capability to do so, or what you're offering may not be what they need. So I'm glad that you said that, because
I'm connected
that speaks
to a
volumes of your
lot.
character.
I'm connected to a lot of Kingdom coaches, and I love each and every one of them. And everyone is different. So it has to, a lot of times what we do, does our personalities, do they commingle? Number one.
Wow.
Like, coaching is bigger than just having a conversation with somebody. This is somebody that you're going to be, can you trust me?
Wow.
That's big. Is the communication. And there's things as a client that a client is responsible for. Can you do the homework that I give you? Because I give out assessments. I give homework out because I want to see when we follow up, how did that homework help you? What did you learn?
How are you retaining the information?
Exactly.
Wow.
And did it work?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Did it work? And if it didn't work, then maybe we need to pivot and we need to try something different. And I'm okay with flexibility. Being in corporate America, they teach you about flexibility. You got to be, with something change, you got to be ready to go. And so I'm okay with pivoting. And then in that instance, if I feel like you need more than what I have the capacity to give you, I'm going to give you, and I'm going to refer you off to another coach. Okay. And if it needs to pivot into a counselor, then I'm going to pivot you to a counselor. Okay. And find you a resource. That's typically what I do on that side when it comes to, because some of the things that we try to start even in business, we haven't dealt with our personal issues. So we think that if we don't deal with them deal with our personal issues, it's going to bleed over into your business. And then the self-esteem is going to kick in. You're going to wonder why you don't have no clients. Okay, well, did you deal with the root issue first before you launched out?
Yes. Wow.
And that's something I had to learn.
Right there.
It's okay. It's okay to stop, pause, give yourself permission as a business owner to deal with your personal issues so that you can be a better service to your clients.
Absolutely. That's so awesome.
In instance, even with dealing with me on a personal, on a business aspect, we still got to start at the root, which is who you are at the core of who you are. Who are you? Yes. And then for life and recovery, I could deal with one of the things, as far as the family grief. If families are grieving because of the loss of a monarch, a patriarch that have passed on, and how did God prepare you for it, and what does that look like? And truth be told, whether you saved or not, we all deal with grief. That's for sure. That's universal. That is not something that none of us can run from, whether you're saved or not. Yeah. But at the end of the day, knowing that God still loves you, whether you are saved or not, that's the key, that he's still sending somebody to help you walk through that process. That is so awesome. That's so awesome. I want to go back and ask a question about the organizational coaching that you do. Okay. Because normally this is for corporate America, right? This is for corporate or for entrepreneurs. Okay. So and ministry for too, any type of business institution. Okay. It could be for a nonprofit. Yeah. Okay. So does outside of the ministry, okay, let's say we're not using it for ministry purposes, but we're using it for corporate America or any, entrepreneur, right? Okay. Is there a time that you've ever had to bring the grief coaching into that, or the coaching for families into that? Have you ever had to marry those two? No, but I would not doubt that there's a possibility that it's going to happen.
It's coming. It's coming because of. I really believe that it's coming because people don't realize what they need a lot of times, and what they think that the root of their issue may be something to do with their business, but it's really something in their personal life. And you kind of said a little bit about it because that's where you kind of start with them at when it comes
Yes.
to your coaching is about their life, about them personally.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they might think, well, I'm not able to do this within my business or within, whatever organization they may have going on. It has nothing to do with the business, but it has everything to do with them.
It could have everything to do with the fact of, like, for instance, and I'm being very transparent on this because this is something
Okay.
that I have experienced and learning that there was grief attached to why when things weren't turning out the way I thought that they would turn out when I launched the first time was because I was still grieving the community that the Lord was trying to separate me from. Like he
Wow.
was trying to grow me out of, because that was a season. So understanding that even your community and your support circle, they may not always be there. Like that may only be seasonal, and learning how to transition and not take on the spirit of grief. Because I did. I was one of those. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't have my community. I'm here in this barren. It's not a barren land because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of fruit here. But learning
Right.
how to even grow from that, learning how to and really understanding, oh, so that was the reason why I could not do what I was supposed to do, because grief stopped me. I kept thinking about what I didn't have and what I lost, and not looking at what I was gaining and what was ahead. And that is a spirit of grief. It will tackle you like that, and it makes you forget about the people that are still there.
Wow. So you weren't even necessarily grieving. It was not even grief because and also we need to make sure that we're not confusing because we can grieve things,
Yes.
people,
Yes.
and they're still here on this earth.
Absolutely.
So it's amazing that you were grieving people who weren't in your circle anymore or in close proximity to you anymore because God was taking you to another place. Wow, that's so awesome.
Yeah. And those are things that I talk about
awesome.
in the book. I talk about 3 different things that I actually. She's so big. You okay?
No, she disrupts me.
Those are 3 of the things. So in the book, I talk about how I grieved my community, the loss of my community, the loss of comfortability, because you can grieve that too.
Okay.
The loss of a job, and then of course the loss of a family member. And I start with everything else because people think when they think of grief, they think of a person like actually passing away.
Yes.
No, anything that you lose, you can go through a grief process through. If you get fired from your job, you get angry. You might be sad. You go through, and in the book, I even talk about some of the questions that we ask ourselves when we lose a job. And then emotionally, how we feel. Well, they don't know that they just lost the best. This is how we react.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not realizing that's an opportunity that God has given us to start something new.
Yeah, that's so very true. And a lot of times because we don't have it in our own capacity to just jump and do those things. So God has to call and to be honest, that's how a lot of businesses are started, because of a loss of a job.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we don't never lose a thing, it's like, oh, I'm gonna hold on to this until the wheels roll off, if you will. Yep. But God has a way of shifting things in our lives in a direction that we don't even realize that we need to be shifted into.
Correct.
So I appreciate you for bringing that up. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to this discussion today, to this interview today?
One of the things I do want to add is, this is my book. So this is the second edition of One Day at a Time. This one specifically talks about grief, and it talks about my story on how I actually process those 3 things. In the beginning, the very beginning, I actually break down the process of grief. That's the introduction, so that you understand and have a precept for everything else that's coming through. After that, There's scriptures in the back for people who just need a reminder that God is with them. The next thing that I'm going to be working on that's going to be accompanying this, prayerfully, I will get it done this weekend. It's going to be a workbook because you need the application. You can read a textbook all day long, but until you actually go through the process and process the process, you can't really get through to the next step. And sometimes there's no time frame on that. You may not be ready to answer that question, and it's okay. So there's going to be a workbook that's going to be accompanying this to help people and ministries and corporations to actually process grief. Employees need to know how to process grief when their supervisor leaves that they've been attached to, because that's their family.
Yeah.
They got work families.
Okay. So tell us how we can get your book.
Yes, so you can go to Amazon. It is on Amazon right now, and you can order the book there. Or right now, you can either send me an email at Chante, Chante, at iamchantesmith.com, and you can order your book through there. Just tell me how many copies you need, and I'll send you the invoice. But I am definitely looking forward to actually handing these out and sharing with the world exactly the process of grief and how me, as a woman and a minority and an entrepreneur and a mom and a wife and an employee, how all of those things play a role when you are grieving and what it looks like.
Wow, because those are a whole bunch of roles.
Yes, they are.
Wow. Okay. So that's the second book, right?
That's the second one. The first one is going to be relaunched.
Okay.
Hopefully in the spring or the summer of next year.
Okay.
And then I'm
and what's the name of the first book?
Yes, the first one was One Day at a Time, how declaring God's words through life challenges, and had no idea that the pandemic was coming, and that book was for this season.
Wow. I need to get both of them, but because I love having workbooks.
Yes.
I think that is, because I'm having all of these thoughts and I want questions asked because I need my mind triggered.
Correct.
As I'm reading. And then to write the information down and just like have a homework. I absolutely love that. So I cannot wait. I actually I'm going to get this book that's out now. I can't wait for the relaunch of your book in the spring, of your first book. And then I'm definitely excited about your workbook. I am so excited about your future. I'm so excited about what I've seen God do with you and for you since you left San Antonio. So kudos to you. Congratulations to you on your marriage and your new family, not just your new biological family there, but your new family as a whole, your church family, your work family. Congratulations to you. I pray nothing but blessings over you and yours, and for now and your future.
Thank you so much.
You are so very welcome. So how I like to end the interviews is I want you to give our viewers an encouraging word that they can take and apply to their very lives right now.
All right. So remember who you are. It is very important to know that you're amazing, that you are capable of doing everything that God has put in your hands, that He has gone before you, He is with you, He's behind you, He's covering you. And know that you're not by yourself. Do not let the enemy make you think that you are the only person going through this process, because you're not. There's community for you. All you have to do is reach out.
Yes.
And if you reach out to me personally, I will answer. There are people there that God has placed in your life. It's not mistake but that you're watching this recording and that you're hearing this message. God did this specifically for this moment because you needed to understand that grief is a process, that coaching is important, that going to counseling if you need to. Therapy is okay. I have one and I love her.
Listen.
And that growth is part of the process. Patience is part of the process. And so today I declare that God will give you peace through the process, that you will be able to handle what He has put on your plate, and that it is not too heavy for Him to carry. All you have to do is hand it over to him and let him walk you through until the other side. Be blessed.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I am very, very sure that that is something that we all can use at one point or another. Um, how can they get in contact with you for you to be their coach?
You want me to coach you, you can also send an email to Chante, Chante, at iamchantesmith.com. And I will actually send you a calendar invite and you can book yourself a calendar on there. We do a consultation first for about a good 15-20 minutes. And then at that time, if you decide you want to hire me as your coach, then I go through the next process in the stage of what that looks like. And we start booking the sessions.
Awesome. Thank you so very much for sharing that information with the viewers. Any final words?
Congratulations on your TV show. This is like amazing. I love this.
Well, thank you. It's definitely a little, normally a little bit way more organized than today.
It's okay. But you know what? You kept going and you didn't let it stop you.
Yeah.
That's determination. And truth be told, a lot of us have to have that. Yeah. It's not always going to go perfect. It's not always going to be, as long as you do it in excellence, which you did, you're doing amazing. I'm super excited about the opportunities that you're even giving yourself and other people. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate that. I appreciate that more than you actually know. So again, thank you so much for being on First Class Convo, being my very special guest that I'm interviewing like way on another side of the country. So thank you so much. And again, congratulations to you and all of your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.